Let's face it, AI is everywhere now. It's helping write our emails, it's recommending our movies, and it's completely reshaping entire industries. But with all that incredible power comes some pretty serious risk. So the big question is, how does a country like India, with over 1 billion people, plan to get a handle on it? Well, today we're going to dive deep into their ambitious new rulebook for artificial intelligence.
All right, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First up, we'll get into the whole promise versus peril thing with AI. The why behind all these new rules. Then, we're going to look at the 3 big parts of India's solution: a brand new AI watchdog, a specific plan to fight deepfakes, and some really interesting protections for workers. And to wrap it all up, we'll see the blueprint that kind of holds this whole strategy together.
Okay, so let's start with that first piece, the why. You've got to understand the 2 sides of the AI coin here. On one side, you have this massive transformative potential, but on the other, some really significant dangers. And that tension is exactly what's driving this big regulatory push. And nothing gets to the heart of the problem quite like this. This is a line pulled directly from one of the proposed bills. The adage, seeing is believing, no longer holds true. Just think about that for a second. In our new age of AI, the most basic way we process reality is being thrown into question. How can we trust what we see, what we hear? It's a huge problem. And this right here is the fundamental dilemma the lawmakers are trying to wrap their heads around. On the one hand, AI offers these incredible upsides. We're talking dynamic economic growth, way better government services. But on the other hand, you've got the peril, the risk of fabricated evidence, the erosion of trust in our institutions, not to mention the very real fear of replacing human jobs and messing with our privacy. So when you're faced with a technology that has such a split personality, what do? How do you even begin to manage it? India's answer starts with creating a central authority, a brand new AI watchdog, to try and oversee this entire complex landscape. And of course, if you're going to regulate something, you have to define it first, right? So the proposed bill gets really specific. It doesn't call AI just one single thing. Instead, it's a constellation of technologies. I like that phrasing, a constellation, that allows machines to act with a higher level of intelligence, basically copying how humans sense, understand, and act. And the absolute centerpiece of this whole regulatory plan is this new body they're proposing. It's called the National Artificial Intelligence Technology Regulatory Authority, or for short, NAITRA. And this isn't just another committee. It's designed to be the one single top-level authority for everything and anything AI in the country. So what would this thing, NAITRA, actually do? Well, its job description is huge. It would be responsible for everything from setting the high-level national AI policy all the way down to handling complaints from individual workers. The idea is to create a true one-stop shop for AI governance. A big job, for sure. And they're not messing around. To make sure this thing isn't just a paper tiger, the bill would give NAITRA some serious teeth. We're talking powers that look a lot like a civil court. It could literally summon anyone from anywhere in India, demand to see documents, and take evidence. So yeah, this is not just a committee for making suggestions. This is an authority designed with real, actual enforcement power. Okay, moving on to the second major pillar of this whole framework. This one tackles one of the most visible and, frankly, scariest AI threats out there. Something I'm sure you've heard about: deepfakes. And again, the legal definition here is really, really key. The bill is super specific about what it's going after. See, a deepfake isn't just some funny edited picture. The law defines it as digitally manipulated content created to convincingly and deceptively depict individuals doing or saying stuff that never actually happened. The 2 key words there, convincingly and deceptively. That's what separates a joke from a crime, which naturally leads to the billion-dollar question, right? What exactly becomes illegal here? Where do you draw that line between, say, a harmless meme and a criminal act? So the bill lays out 3 very specific scenarios where creating a deepfake would become a criminal offense. First, harassment. Think creating something with sexual content just to humiliate someone. Second, incitement. That's using a deepfake to stir up violence, cause conflict, or mess with elections. And third, fraud. Using a deepfake for things like identity theft. The focus isn't on banning the tech itself, but on punishing the malicious intent behind it. All right, now for the third pillar. And this one hits really close to home for a lot of people. It tackles one of the most personal and widespread fears about AI. What's it going to do to our jobs? This section is all about protecting workers. Let's just start with this number, 74%. A Microsoft report, which is actually referenced in the draft law itself, found that 74% of employees in India are genuinely worried about AI taking their jobs. This isn't some far-off sci-fi fear. This is a very real, right-now anxiety for a massive chunk of the workforce. And that feeling, that widespread fear, is the direct reason these rules are on the table. The legislation is trying to tackle that anxiety head-on by creating a whole new set of duties for employers and a whole new set of rights for employees, specifically for the age of AI. So what does this new workplace relationship actually look like? Well, you can think of it as a rebalancing of power. On one side, employers get new responsibilities, like they have to be transparent about how they're using AI, and they have to train their staff. But on the other side, employees get new rights, and this is crucial, including the right to have a human being review a big decision made by an AI, or even the right to refuse it completely if it violates their rights. Okay, so we've looked at the three big pillars, right? The watchdog, the deepfake law, and the worker protections. Let's zoom out now and look at the big picture. What's the core philosophy, the guiding light behind all of this? It really all boils down to these four core principles. Everything in this strategy is built on them. First, safety, security, and robustness. Any AI has to be solid. Second, transparency and ethics. You have to know how it's being used, and it has to be ethical. Third, accountability. Someone has to be responsible. And finally, number 4, equality and fairness. The AI has to promote fairness and actively fight against bias. And all of this, all these details and principles, leads us to the one critical question. This is, without a doubt, one of the most comprehensive attempts anywhere in the world to regulate AI. But can this new rulebook actually walk that incredibly fine line between encouraging breakthrough innovation on one side and ensuring the ethical protection of over 1 billion citizens on the other? The answer to that question isn't just going to shape India's future. It could very well become a blueprint for the rest of the world watching.